Hi there, this is Mrs. Girot, and I am just making this video really quick for fine art students who are trying to figure out what to do. I sent you the emails, and those emails have links to the assignments that you can go to. But for learning coaches that are kind of also wondering what's going on, hopefully you all are aware that you do have a grades tab right here. It's a grade book, and it will show you all of the grades on the assignments that your students have. So also, I always will be giving feedback when an assignment is submitted. So you can find out how your student did by reading the feedback in here. And if the student does not have any feedback, that means it hasn't been graded yet. However, I have been keeping up on the grades on a daily basis. So if you have a student that says, I turned something in last week, well, I probably have graded it. And if it has a 0, there's probably a comment here explaining why. So even if the student gets a 0, there's always going to be a comment once I've seen it. If it has been a week and it's like the real deal, not a scam, then you'll want to contact me right away and say, Mrs. Girot, I turned that in and it hasn't been graded, and I know that you said you're current. Can you please look? Okay, there's also this class progress. Oh, I don't, for some reason, don't have any access to that right now. Normally there would be a class progress thing right here. If you're not seeing that, if you're not seeing the email option here, if you're not seeing your class connects, you know what that means? That means that you need to log out and then you need to log back in, and the little log out button is up here in the corner. I'm not going to show you that right now, but that's where you would click up here on that drop down menu and log out and then log back in. And once you do that, it refreshes and all of this stuff will show up. So this is telling me that since today I have not logged in brand new. You have to log in brand new every single day. So if you go into the content, you can always kind of tell what your students have done and haven't done. For example, here's the orientation, and if we go in there, I had directions about what to do. It said to open up the quiz and to watch the video, and I can tell that this student opened the quiz and watched the video because there's check marks here that show that the student did both of those things, and it also says 100% of that activity was completed. So that's great. Whenever there's a video, you want your student to open up the quiz in a new window right here and then resize it so that you've got like the quiz open over here and then you've got the video open over here so that you can answer each quiz question one at a time, watching the video, listening and watching for the answers, pausing the video to answer the question, and then read the next question so that you know what you're looking for in the video. All of my tests go in the same order as either the video or the content, okay? So the other thing, there's my contact information, and there was a survey here. You can click on that. It's worth 10 points and do that. Unit 1, from Baroque to Romantic. So as I'm looking down, I can see that this student has only done 9 out of 48 required topics. Not that concerned about it right now. What concerns me is when I see that a student has taken a quiz but has not actually read the lesson. That tells me that the student is guessing. So when you see that, that's an indicator that the student opened the quiz and just guessed, didn't actually read the information, the material there. So that's what I'm seeing from this student. Guess, 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 hasn't actually learned the material. So if this student has a failing grade, then that's good because it should reflect a failing grade if the student isn't actually reading, right? But one of the cool things about me is that I realize that this is really boring and mundane work for a lot of students. It's not everyone's cup of tea, right? So what I do here for the unit tests is I put a video in, and this is a video of me walking the students through the content that's on the test, explaining it so that they have an opportunity to actually learn the information. And I can see that that student did not take that opportunity to learn the information while they're taking that test. So once again, you'd right click, open that in a new window, and then watch this video in the other window. Answer each question one at a time as they go in the same order as my video. Okay, so that was unit 1. Look at how many subunits there are in there. Huge. The other thing I want your students to do are these live classes, okay? Because this is when I was actually teaching and sharing what I think was important with the class. So it'll say to open your exit ticket, that's right click, open it, and then to watch the video. So here's the video, and then in that video I showed a couple of videos within the class. So I put links there too, so that the student has an opportunity to make sure that they get all of the information that I thought was really important that they learned, okay? So then we have a studio, and this is when your student does projects. And I always like to put examples in there of what I'm looking for, the type of work that I'm looking for. So in this one, I'm looking for a bust that has very expression, like just intense expressions on their faces, because that's a characteristic of the Baroque period. This is supposed to be a Baroque bust. And then there's always a rubric, okay? So this is how I grade them. So for 50 points, the student submits a realistic clay sculpture of a person's head with expressive facial features. So that's this part right here, right? Or this part right here. And then for the next 50 points, the student submits a drawing of the sculpture. So once the student makes their sculpture, then they draw it. They put some nice lighting on there, and they use a chiaroscuro technique, which just basically means really intense dark shadows and bright highlights that creates that contrast and dramatic effect. So that's how they would earn 100 points there. Here's another one of my classes. So great, another video and test. And look, if you have kept up with the class and you did the critique, then you were able to vote for the winner and participate with that. Then we have unit 3, and then we have another one of those long units where it's read and take a quiz, and read and take a quiz, and we can see this student has not been reading. They've just been opening up the quizzes and guessing. Well, thankfully they stopped doing that. They stopped right here. So if I was the learning coach, I'd sit down with my student and I would read with them, you know, because I might learn something interesting, and we might have something to talk about afterwards, which would be great. And then here's the test at the very bottom, and here it is. And look, there's that video that goes along with the test. So even if you did skip all of these quizzes, you at least can watch the video of the whole unit test and take that test and get a perfect score on it by watching the video. So the class is actually quite tailored to meet both kinds of students. The types of students that are really detailed and, you know, want to learn every single thing that they can possibly learn about it. And then for the students that are like, I want a broad overview, then you just go ahead and skip to the tests and watch those videos, and you learn that material that way. Then we have another studio, and once again, here's some examples. So the student is doing 2 paintings. One is a realism piece and one is an impressionism piece. You do it of the same subject. So the student will just submit those, and then here's a little video that I made demonstrating, and then here's that rubric that shows how I grade it. So you have to make sure that you turn that in, and this is the drop box. When you click on there, you scroll down. Whenever you're submitting something, you scroll down and it gives you an upload option. Do like it when you actually name your files. That's always ideal. So rather than having numbers, your first and last name, and then you could say impressionism. Also, whenever you're doing art pieces for me, in order to avoid the temptation of plagiarism, I always get plagiarism every block, it never fails. You are supposed to take a picture midway through, or at some point before it's finished, so that I can see that it was your work from start to finish, if that makes sense. So you'll be submitting midway shot of that one and then a final shot. And then also try to set up your paintings or your sculptures so that there isn't a bunch of background stuff, so that it is ready to be published and professional looking, okay? So that's that. And then Here's one of my classes that I taught. You can pop in there. Oh, but guess what? We didn't have a quiz that day. Woot! And then here's Unit 5. So that's another one of those units with all those quizzes and everything. But guess what? At the very bottom, there's going to be a test. And there's going to be a video. Here it is. So you can watch that video and take your test and learn the material that way. And then, yeah, so that is perfect. Then there's an extra credit project tree that you can do. And this one is the multimedia and abstract art. There's also 2 pieces on that. So those are just some examples. And then we also have a class that I taught recently. It's a fantastic class, even though it doesn't have a quiz. This is the crescendo. I would love for your student to watch that because it is, to me, it's about evaluating art, and it's a really fun opportunity. And if you wanted to watch it with your student, it would be really cool for the 2 of you or your family to sit down and decide, ooh, is that art? Is that good art? Is that bad art? Do I like that or not? It's pretty short. It's got a couple of videos, and it will have all of you walking around and looking at the city or any art that you see anywhere in a whole new way. So I hope that you get a chance to watch that. And then finally, we have the extra credit final exam. And you guessed it, yep, there's a video. Let's do this. So watch the video and take the final, and you'll get a nice overview of everything. And if you do those basic tests and the classes that I taught and maybe a project, you will do great in this class. Just look at the email and figure out how you have to earn your points, and you'll be good to go. Thank you.